Broadway, wow. And ladies and gentlemen of the wonderful community college viewing audience, whatever you're about to hear today about Broadway, wow, they are my views. They do not represent the views of the channels of Community College of Philadelphia. So I am responsible for whatever you may hear. Broadway, wow. Broadway's an area, and you know that. You've been to Broadway. And even if you've chosen not to go to some shows on Broadway, you know where it is in the 40s in New York, 45th Street, 46th Street. And currently on Broadway, if you were to pull it up on your computer, ladies and gentlemen, there are 38, shows on Broadway at this time. And since Broadway started, since shows started on Broadway, there have been, it is estimated, about 9,800 shows. But one need not go to Broadway per se in New York City to see a Broadway-type show. As a matter of fact, just this week, my bride and I went downtown Philadelphia and saw a show that was on Broadway at one time called Sister Act. The audience together almost said the same thing. My goodness, on this given day when we saw Sister Act, we don't have to go to Broadway. It had a Broadway flavor, a feeling, a professionalism. And as a matter of fact, when one looked at the playbill book of the show, there were 11 people in the show who had been on Broadway. You see me holding up a cup. This is a cup of a show called Ragtime. Now, why am I holding up the cup? There's no coffee in this cup. There's nothing else that might be some fun in this cup. It's merely an empty cup. But my wife and I suggest when you go to a show, whether it be in Philadelphia, Broadway flavor, or whether it be on Broadway or anywhere in the country where you see a theater show, a live show, go into the lobby. Buy yourself a cup that has the show you're seeing, the name on it. Why? Why, you might say? Did I hear you say it? Because when I'm drinking from Ragtime cup and my bride is drinking from Jersey Boys cup, or whatever cup it is any given morning, we are reliving that show. It's wonderful. Broadway, W-O-W, wow. And if you don't choose to buy a cup, you can buy something else, or you can buy both. And what's that both? What's the other thing? Buy a placemat. They have those in these lobby stores also. And again, when you look at the placemat that has all the performers and maybe a couple scenes on it, you're reliving the wonderful fantasy of seeing a show. A moment ago, I held up a playbill. And the playbill, the show name is insignificant, but I'll just hold it up and tell you this is Something Rotten, currently on Broadway. This is the Book of Mormon, currently on Broadway. This is the show Pippin, not currently on Broadway, but traveling the country. I hold up Playbill and look at the name on top, Playbill, because there now is in this world for the last couple of years or so, Playbill cruises. Yes, that's right. One can go on a cruise, and the cruise line has Broadway stars on that cruise line. And the Broadway stars do Broadway trivia during the day. They go to the various tables to sit while you're eating. They put on shows at night with Broadway songs. Playbill Cruises, I don't know how many they have a year. It might be 5. It's a company that runs out of New York. We haven't been on a Playbill cruise, but they are supposed to be something. I'm going to read some things to you, and when I speak, I usually don't read, but the format will change a little today. I'm going to do some reading just so I don't forget. Because when you get old like I am, you forget things more quickly. I want to read you the names of some of the great grand dames, some of the great ladies of Broadway fame, and some of the gentlemen of Broadway fame. Bear with me, please. Audra McDonald, Julie Andrews, Shirley Jones, Ethel Merman, Heather Headley, Leslie Uggams, Marin Mazzie, Barbara Streisand, Kristen Chenoweth, Lee Solanka, Sarah Brightman, Rebecca Luker, Kelly O'Hara, Patina Miller, Mary Martin, Judith Anderson, and I've left some out, and you might say when you're back in your home audience, why did that idiot leave out this person? Well, I told you I'm forgetful now. Let me read you about some men, famous men of Broadway, and again, it won't be all-inclusive, for sure. Tom Bosley, Hugh Jackman, Nathan Lane, James Earl Jones, Paul Robeson, Richard Burton, Zero Mostel, Robert and Alan Alda, Robert Morse, stay with me now while I'm reading these things, Michael Crawford, Joel Grey, Norman Lewis, Matthew Broderick, Colm Wilkinson, Robert Goulet, Leslie Odom, currently playing in the 16 Tony Award-nominated show Hamilton on Broadway, Gene Kelly. Just some. One of the names I mentioned was Billy Porter. Billy Porter is now playing on Broadway with the aforementioned Audra McDonald, with the aforementioned Brian Stokes Mitchell, in a show called Shuffle Along. But the show may close because Audra McDonald is leaving it. She's going to be a mommy soon. But I want to tell you, when Billy Porter was in the show Kinky Boots on Broadway, the house stood up. When he played in Miss Saigon, something that's not usually done, as was done in Kinky Boots for Billy Porter, after one of his numbers in Miss Saigon, the show stopped. The people stood in the audience applauding. I mention these things to you so when you see these shows, you'll recognize, of course, Billy Porter as a person. I'm now going to state for you my all-time favorite shows, and you might say, my goodness, why isn't he mentioning Music Man? Why isn't he mentioning Guys and Dolls? I told you in the beginning, this does not represent Community College of Philadelphia on their channels, only the views of this little old guy speaking. The favorite shows for my wife and me. May I read them again, please? May I read again? Thank you. I mentioned Ragtime earlier. Ragtime. Ragtime opened in 1998, by the way, and Ragtime opened when Lion King opened. Lion King won his best show. Lion King is still playing. Ragtime is not. Something Rotten, currently on Broadway. Jekyll and Hyde. Les Miserables, one of the favorite shows of all time. If you were to stop the average person on the street, you'd hear the name Les Miserables mentioned so many, many times. I'm certain of that. A Chorus Line. Fiorello. The Producers. Miss Saigon, mentioned earlier, with Billy Porter getting a standing ovation. Sister Act that I mentioned that my wife and I just saw this week in Philadelphia with a Broadway tenor, a Broadway excellence. La Cage aux Folles, The Boy from Oz, Billy Elliot, Phantom of the Opera. But now, what I'm going to do now. Please excuse me. If you're sleeping, maybe this will wake you up because it'll be so terrible. You might ask me, what's your favorite show of all time? Well, my favorite show is not important, but I have a favorite song of all time from A Chorus Line. Mentioned that a moment ago, too. Now, do not regurgitate. I'm going to be crude now. Do not throw up. I cannot sing, and I admit it. But from A Chorus Line, there's a song entitled What I Did for Love. Again, I can't sing. Stay with me. Don't turn off Comcast 53 or Fios 21. But here we go. Kiss today goodbye, the sweetness and the sorrow. Wish me luck the same to you. But I can't regret what I did for love, what I did for love. A marvelous, beautiful song. And now, folks, I'm going to read again. Don't usually do it when I'm before this podium at Community College of Philadelphia. But just so I don't forget, I'm going to read to you some show names, some people in the shows, and the key songs in those shows. And I'll bet I'll be able to see you back in your home watching it going, yep, see it? Right, Mary? That's it. Bob, did you see it? I'll hit some of your favorites. Bear with me, please. Thank you very, very much. Les Miserables, I mentioned it before, could be one of the favorite shows of all time everywhere in the world. Songs, Bring 'Em Home, Master of the House, I Dreamed a Dream, and the major star, Colm Wilkinson, C-O-L-M, Colm Wilkinson. I mentioned Ragtime. Now this is probably the third time. Show you the cup again, right here. Ragtime. Audra McDonald, Marin Mazzie, Brian Stokes Mitchell. Songs, Wheels of a Dream. His name was Coalhouse Walker. The Night That Goldman Spoke at Union Square. Miss Saigon, you've heard that before since I'm standing up here today at this podium at Community College of Philadelphia. Lisa Solanke and Jonathan Pryce, The Heat Is On in Saigon, The American Dream, The Last Night of the World. That's the song that Billy Porter sang, where they stood after he sang it. And now, a chorus line. I just sang to you. You heard how beautifully I sang it, the song from a chorus line. Did any of you get sick at that? Oh, thank goodness you didn't. A chorus line, Terrence Mann, Michael Douglas, Donna McKechnie. The songs, here it is again, What I Did for Love, One Singular Sensation, and At the Ballet. I see some heads nodding in the audience. I can see right through your television screen. Am I lying? Yes, I am. Smile, please. The show Fiorello, about Fiorello LaGuardia, the mayor of New York City, with Tom Bosley and Howard Da Silva. The Name's LaGuardia, a song. Politics and Poker, a hit song. Boy from Oz with Hugh Jackman. Now I know, and you can see, that Hugh Jackman is very jealous of me compared to him. Look at this body. But nonetheless, Hugh Jackman is a star, and of course, he, in that show, sang some of these songs. When I Get My Name in Lights, She Loves to Hear the Music, Not the Boy Next Door. Billy Elliot, the show about a youngster. Michael Caffrey and Debbie Wilkinson. The song Electricity, and indeed it was electric. Merry Christmas, Maggie Thatcher. Just bear with me a little longer, please. I don't like to read, but, you know, don't want to forget. Fiddler on the Roof with Zero Mostel, Beatrice Arthur. The songs Matchmaker, To Life, Sunrise, Sunset, Do You Love Me? The Producers, Dealing with Broadway. Nathan Lane, Matthew Broderick. Songs We Can Do It, and I Want to Be a Producer. Camelot. How beautiful Camelot, the show. It was a favorite show, by the way, and not to wax politically, of John Fitzgerald Kennedy and Jacqueline Kennedy. He often said that. Camelot with Richard Burton, Julie Andrews, and Robert Goulet. The song, Camelot. The song, C'est Moi. The song, How to Handle a Woman. Flower Drum Song, with Lisa Lanka, Nancy Kwan, Juanita Hall, and Jack Sue. 100 Million Miracles, and I Enjoy Being a Girl. Now, I'm not a girl. That's the song I put down here. Gosh almighty, you're getting bad, this audience. Smile, please, I'm teasing you. Guys and Dolls, Robert Alder, Vivian Blaine, Sam Levine, A Bushel and a Peck, I've Never Been in Love Before, Luck Be a Lady, Sit Down, You're Rocking the Boat, which some of you are doing right now in the audience. Stay there, please. Don't go to the kitchen and get coffee. Just a little more of this. The show Jekyll and Hyde, Linda Eder and Emma Carew, a song, This Is the Moment. Cabaret, Alan Cummings, Michelle Williams, the song Will Coleman, and Maybe This Time. How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. Robert Morse, Charles Nelson Riley, Rudy Valley, an old-timer. I Believe in You, an audience, I believe in you too. Brotherhood of Man, Grand Old Ivy, How to Succeed. La Cage aux Folles, maybe my wife's favorite show. Gene Barry and George Hearn, I Am What I Am, With You on My Arm, A Little More Mascara. And Phantom of the Opera. You thought I was going to forget that, didn't you? It's right here in front of me. How could I forget it? The songs Phantom of the Opera, The Music of the Night, Think of Me, Angel of Music, and All I Ask of You. I have here, ladies and gentlemen, a book. And this book is called The Season. Am I saying you should get this book? No, I'm not selling the book at all. It's just my view. There are currently, I believe, and I might be wrong here, and you found out I've been wrong so many times as watching me in the past has told you, there are currently about 72 books that one can find dealing with Broadway. And as one flips the table of contents, one sees in the index the names of some of the people I have mentioned and the shows that I have mentioned. Maybe I have whet your appetite to go on a playbill cruise. Are they more expensive than other cruises? Not necessarily. I shall not mention the cruise line playbill cruise operates. But think about it. Isn't it wonderful to have a person put on a show for you live or come to your table as you're having your orange juice or your eggs in the morning? Folks, there are so many people who go to Broadway shows who don't like the show. I'm not going to mention shows that I don't like. But I'm a bit of a prude, besides being crazy, as you found out already. I don't like shows that have sexual orientation. I don't like shows that have crazy type of music. I'm sort of an old-time guy, besides being old-time. So you've heard Broadway. I hope it was wow for you. I hope you are not dozing. I hope I've whet your appetite not only to go to a show at that geographic area in New York City that's Broadway, but to go to our wonderful city, downtown Philadelphia, to any number of theaters or suburban areas or anywhere in the country to see a Broadway-like show. Again, when we saw this show this week, Sister Act, people in the audience just en masse were saying afterward, "You sure this isn't Broadway?" That's how professional and wonderful it was. I hope you've enjoyed Wow Broadway. I've enjoyed presenting it to you. And when I see you on the street, I'm ready to be yelled at because I forgot to talk about your show. I'm Burton Klein. You've been watching CCP TV, the educational channel of Community College of Philadelphia. I hope to see you next time.